This is Amateur Logic, episode 81 for August 15th, 2015. Huntsville with Peter. This episode of Amateur Logic was brought to you by MFJ, the world leaders in ham radio accessories at mfjenterprises.com, and by Icom, making DX local. Hi, welcome to AmateurLogic.TV, episode 81. I'm George.
I'm Tommy.
And I'm Peter. Well, howdy guys.
Well, hi, Peter. Fancy meeting you here.
Peter, nice to meet you finally.
It's an absolute pleasure to be here, to meet you, and to meet everybody down here in Alabama.
And to answer the question, yes, Peter has a full body to go with from here up.
I do actually. I'm not just a box.
It's not just a floating head.
How was the trip?
Long, 15 and a half hours from Sydney to Dallas, and then an extra hour from Melbourne to Sydney, and also from Dallas to Huntsville. So it's been a long trip, but definitely worthwhile.
I think you'll say that for sure once you get inside here and see this Hamfest.
Look, I've just already meeting you guys and some of the other people roaming around. And also, yesterday I went to the Space Museum, and that just blew my mind. It's just amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible.
So everything from here on in is icing on the cake.
So I just wondered, did you bring an extra suitcase to bring all the stuff you're going to get from the Hamfest?
Well, I've got a little bit of space in the suitcase, so we might be able to buy one or two things.
Okay.
Yeah, we may have to ship stuff back to him if that's the case. I mean, he probably does not have room in that suitcase for that big rig he was going to buy.
Big rig.
We need to get you on D-Star.
D-Star, yeah, well, at some stage I'll get on there, but I'll probably be a bit tempted by all those new shiny things in there.
Yeah, I always am.
Oh, it's great. And so, look, yeah, it'll be good to see all the range of commercial exhibitors.
This is going to be a busy Hamfest today. There's quite a line. They just keep coming in, and it's not really getting any shorter.
Yeah. The thing is, look, the commercial exhibitors are nice, and the toys are nice, but really, for me, it's about the people. And meeting yourselves and meeting the other amateur radio operators and the Ham Nation crew and all. It's it's just a really great opportunity to meet people and to represent my country in some small way as well.
Well, look who else we brought with us.
Come on, guys.
We have two cameramen with us here that you have probably seen before.
That's Wayne's. I'm not sure if you saw Vince on the show before, but some of them may not remember. So this is Wayne's brother, Vince. I'm glad you can make it with us.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad I could make it too. Hey, I'm not used to being out here. I'm back there.
Yeah, we're looking forward to a big time inside. Everybody's got something on their shopping list here. So why don't we go on in?
Let's do it.
Sounds like a plan.
Let's go.
What do you think about Huntsville, Peter?
Well, one word really captures it, and that's friendly. I've heard about southern hospitality, but until you actually come here and experience it, you don't really realise just how friendly the people are.
Mm-hmm. What about the size of the Hamfest?
Well, it's we wouldn't have anything this size in Australia. The largest we would have is where we use a race course. That's, of course, Wyong, and you've seen that, but that would only be a fraction of the size here. This is huge, and it's you've got plenty of commercial exhibitors, and also the swap meet tables up the back here, and lots of interesting stuff there.
Yeah, it's always a good time here. This is, I think this is probably the biggest one other than Dayton that I'm aware of in the country.
Yeah, Orlando is another real big one, but I've never been to it, so I don't know how it compares to this one. But yeah, this is This is unusual. They're not usually this big in the U.S. This is one of the bigger ones, like Tommy said.
And we should pay some credit to the Huntsville, I think, Amateur Radio Club that organises this.
No, it's not really a club. It's a group that puts this on. The actual club here in Huntsville does not do the Hamfest.
Oh, okay.
It's an independent group.
Okay, well, this independent group, they've staged it very, very well, very professionally, great facilities, and just all works.
So what did you see here that you have to take back with you to Australia? Did you pick up anything?
Well, I was given a nice little gift from MFJ, which thank you very much from...
Richard.
Richard, of course. Richard, he gave me a little clock, which I was very thankful for. What I actually bought, though, was a little quadcopter for about $35, and that's going home for my son. So I thought that was really cute.
Yeah, he'll have a good time with that.
Sure. Aside from that, most of the other stuff I've either seen in elsewhere, but I must admit, yesterday there were some old-fashioned radios in the swap meet area that really caught my attention. I love seeing those old valve radios.
Yeah, unfortunately they were gone when we went back over there to shoot a video of them.
Yeah, that stuff doesn't usually last long.
Yeah. Tommy got some footage here of a company that's right here in the Huntsville area.
Yeah, so actually they're in Tennessee. I saw my friend Bill Harrison, the one that created the DHAP Mini Mega that I showed I guess it was last month.
Okay.
And I had a nice chat with him. I ran into an old friend, Bill, from Harden Power Systems. How you doing, Bill?
I'm good, Tommy. I'm good. It's good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you. It looks like you guys you had a fire a while back, right?
We did. Yep. And this is the first show for us since that event. It was just under a year ago that we lost our facility, all the inventory, all the finished goods, and I guess about the only thing that didn't burn up that day were a lot of promises. And it's taken us about a year to build and ship everything that was destroyed, replace our components. And the timing is interesting because it'll be next week that trusses and lumber and materials are being delivered. We're getting the concrete slab cleaned up and ready, which is kind of an emotional thing, sweeping that and all these bits and pieces of your life that are melted. But, we're good. We're here, and that's a big step. We've been innovating like crazy in the meantime. I can tell you that fire caused us to refocus, I think, kind of emphasize more maybe what we're good at, the innovation, more so than trying to crank out numbers. And that's what we've been doing. We've been coming out with some new things and laying the foundation literally for the new building. And we've got a lot of that new stuff here today.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I think you guys were using CNC stuff before, but now are you primarily using like the 3D printers and things like that?
It is definitely a mix of the two technologies. Probably the easiest way to contrast CNC versus 3D printing. CNC is subtractive. As you're cutting, you're removing material. You're producing waste. You've got a good reason to do it, but you're creating waste. The 3D printers are additive. There's very, very little waste. And it just really depends what you're doing. The face plates on a juice box or on a Rogue, all CNC cut, because HDPE is such a gorgeous material and it cuts well and it works well. It's very, very tough. The new DHAP housings, some of the kind of odd stuff that we've come out with that are innovative, some of it military related, like the tiny solar controller, the little USB nano converter, some of this stuff, you couldn't CNC it. You could not injection mold it. And the only way that I'm aware of you could produce that stuff is by 3D printing. And of course, that's what we're doing. We're running almost exclusively high-impact ABS. It's a good material. And my background primarily is industrial design as it relates to injection molding. So, I've spent 20-odd years conforming to rules that are not forgiving. And then you get 3D printers, and all of a sudden you're like a kid in a candy store because you can break all sorts of rules. There are other downsides, but all in all, about the only downside is work envelope and time. The machines that we're using, I chose primarily for their reliability and their accuracy, and the trade-off is speed. People might be surprised to hear, but I don't mind people knowing. One of our DHAPs is just shy of 6 hours total print time for the top, bottom, and the bridge. So that's an investment of time at that point. But happily, they're relatively inexpensive. They run pretty well unattended, so we'll just keep buying more printers. That's how you fix the time problem. They don't take up much space and they draw very little power, so it's all good.
Yeah, it's a fascinating technology. I want one pretty bad, just for playing around with things. And yeah, and I probably will, but I don't think I'm going to make that kind of investment on it. But I just want to make little parts and brackets and stuff like that.
When the consumer jumps in with both feet, we get things like cell phones that will surf the net and fit in your pocket and with a battery that lasts 4 days. And the same thing should happen with the 3D printing. I'm hoping that it's interesting enough that the kids that are in middle school and high school right now get excited about it, because we need we got to grow another crop of engineers, and technology like this might be one of the if not a starting point, some of the fuel that gets us there. I really want to see that.
All right, so you guys got some interesting stuff here. I actually showed my DHAP Mini Mega on the show. I think it was last month. But I love mine. I use it all the time.
That's awesome. And it's great to hear. Of course, we hear some cool stories, especially at a show with people will come caravanning, and they'll have one DHAP in the middle car, and everybody in the little caravan is using the DHAP. And we're very happy with this. I would certainly say that it is a direct result of the 3D printers. That's the only reason that makes something this size possible. But this device, and I say this, there's actually two. There's a version for the DVAP, and then a version for the DV Mega, the Mini Mega. But basically, if the customer supplies a Pi, the batteries, and their DVAP or DV Mega, and I think you commented on it, how surprising it is how well everything fits, and I mean, it just drops in and very precise, and probably, and I seem like I'm saying this all the time lately, it's a quarter the size and a quarter the weight of our original DHAP, and people used to talk about how small that thing was and how great it was and how compact it was. I guess it's just an example of progress. We've learned a lot. We've got some better technology. And I'm not knocking the CNC machines. We use them, we love them, we'll continue to do so. It's just a different process. But yeah, so the DHAP, it probably isn't as innovative as our original one was, because it was the idea that was cool. And it wasn't even our idea, right? I mean, there were people all around the world in their garage duct taping stuff together. We just made it kind of cool.
I did one on the show a long time ago. Well, similar.
Yep, absolutely. So the new DHAP is basically a better execution of the same idea. And frankly, to the end user, it's cheaper. What we supply for the Mini Mega, for example, is $99. You still need to get the Pi. You need to get your board, the DV Mega, batteries and whatnot. But yeah, this has been good for us, and I expect to continue to be.
Yeah, and you guys supplied the image with the original one, but you're not doing that anymore, right?
We're not, and I think that we probably will. But some lessons, if they hurt enough, you don't forget them. And it is really important that image work in a lot of different situations for a lot of different guys and be as simple as possible. And we are working on it now. What I want to see is an interface that's very, very straightforward. I'm hoping that the person powers the machine up and it's basically choose. Enter your call sign, enter a frequency. But beyond that, pretty much select choices and then go. And we're close. There's a friend of mine that's a bit of an Elmer that's working on that right now. So we hope to offer it.
Oh, cool. Okay, I didn't realize you guys were going to do that, because I could actually see maybe not doing that along with the hardware, because you kind of open yourself up to a lot of technical support type.
And we had that issue before. Now that said, I believe that there are some sales that we would make that we wouldn't otherwise, because we would offer that. What I would say is Maryland D-Star is a phenomenal resource. They've got a nice free image. If a person downloads something like Maryland D-Star, they get disc imager, like Win32 disc imager, and if they spend a half hour or an hour carefully reading and poking around, they'll image their own disc just fine. And that, of course, that's what I would like to see. But we also got to make money, so we have to sell stuff. And it would help, I'm sure, to have the image available.
Right. So you guys got other things besides just the ham radio products, right?
Like
let's step back, make sure we can see.
This is actually, it's funny. This is the sort of thing that for probably a lot of people, they either don't know what it is or really don't care. But if somebody's using, and this is a very common AGM battery, it's commonly called an RBC2. If someone's using a battery like this, they immediately know what our backpack is. And most of them, they might not buy it, but they want it right away. So, this is basically just 2 power points. One of them's fused, one of them's not. It's got a blade fuse in it. You can put in whatever fuse you want if you don't like the one it comes with. An on-off switch for the voltmeter. It just straps onto the battery. The tabs are real secure. This is the sort of thing where you can buy a $20 battery, strap the backpack on it, and talk about a poor man's juice box almost. At least it's secure, and you're not going to short anything out.
Yeah, that's going to safe, because so you don't have to worry about anything. You intentionally have to stick something down in there to short it.
Yep, and I almost brought it, but I think we're probably 2 days away from the from finishing the R&D. But we're coming out with a companion backpack that will integrate a 50-watt solar controller. It's not a replacement to that. It's an addition to it. But with the backpack, you can parallel batteries. So a person can buy 2 batteries, parallel them together with 2 backpacks. With this new version of the backpack, you could also obviously charge both through a solar panel. So very useful, especially for operations in the field. I think I saw recently a picture of you in a pool with our DHAP, and the claim was it was photoshopped. I don't know.
Yeah. It was Photoshop, but who knows? It could happen one day.
Never know. We'll make a waterproof one.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking time to talk to me, and I'm glad you guys are back.
So are we. And I guess I would just say that we wouldn't have done it without, obviously, our customers. But I'll tell you that I work with some fabulous people. And, well, I don't know how to say it without our people stood by us. And it's been awesome. And it's going to come back around. We're going to be okay. So yeah, next week we're breaking ground. This time next year, hopefully, we'll be talking about the expansion. Phase 2 is already being planned. We'll see what happens.
Cool. I'm looking forward to it.
Very good.
Talk to you later on.
You got it.
Great to meet both of you guys, and I've seen you on TV before, on AmateurLogic and elsewhere, Ham Nation.
Wow, you made it.
Did he bring any Vegemite?
From down under.
15.5-hour flight, Sydney to Dallas, so long flight.
I think it got confiscated at the border, Don.
That's
Good.
Exactly. That's what it
For me,
means.
it was only a couple hours from Nebraska.
So how have you been, my friend?
I'm good, man. I'm back. This Hamfest feels like home. Last year would have been the 20th consecutive, and I didn't get to make the trip because we didn't do a Young Ham of the Year award. But I'm just so happy to be back in Huntsville. I love it. As good as Dayton is, I think I like this one better because it's all indoors. It's all air conditioned. You don't have the crush of humanity. It's still a big Hamfest. We don't have the crush of humanity. If you want to get up and talk to a Bob Heil or somebody else, you actually have a good chance to do it. And this is a great Hamfest.
Yeah, it really is. I'm looking forward to it. Of course, we got Peter in tow this year.
I was happy to see him down. That's up, I guess. He came up. Yeah, he came to the up above.
Up under.
Yeah, to the up above, exactly. That's perfect. Yeah, very nice. And he's nattily attired as well. I like that.
He is, yeah. That's one of the official lab coats of Hamvention this year.
That's awesome. I like that. Very good. Very good.
Joe, this holds a special place in your heart, doesn't it?
Oh, yes. I've won a few prizes over the years. This is one of my favorite Hamfests.
And what's your secret to success?
My secret to success is just being lucky me.
But buying a lot of tickets too, huh?
Well, they offer, as you can see the sign on the wall here, it's 2 tickets for $1, but 100 buys 250. So that's what I do. And then I cross my fingers and hope I get drawn.
They've got a lot bigger barrel this year.
Yeah, actually, the barrel 2 years ago was broken, It broke during the final prize drawings, and it got thrown away instead of fixed. And then last year they used a trash can, and now this year they have a big barrel.
It's filling up pretty quick, too.
Well, it looks like it. Pretty soon we'll have to put mine in.
Well, hopefully yours is down in there somewhere. Here's a guy here wearing the colors. It's good you're the first official wearer of the colors here. So.
Yeah, we met you out at Lebanon.
Lebanon, that's right.
Yeah. KC9BUL.
Yep. Yeah, I met you up in the hall upstairs, I think.
This is my wife. She's also a ham now.
Oh, congratulations.
So we drove down here from Illinois.
Wow. Good drive?
Yeah, kind of rough. You know, traffic was kind of insane, but anyway.
All right, well, good to see you.
Yeah.
Have a good Hamfest.
We will.
In October 2015, AmateurLogic celebrates our 10th anniversary. To observe this event, Icom and MFJ have joined us for a great HF station contest. We'll be giving away an Icom IC7410 HF transceiver along with MFJ coax, power supply, and antenna. Visit AmateurLogic.TV/contest for details.
Who did you meet here? Did you see anybody at all? Did anybody recognize you? Or?
Did anybody recognize me? I spent half my time actually just talking with people, and very, very friendly, come up and say, oh, we watch AmateurLogic, and we enjoy the show very, very much. And I've also met some of the people that I've seen on Ham Nation or know from other interviews that you've done. I'm thinking of Don Wilbanks, Mr. Martin Jew. Let's see, who else? Yeah, the names unfortunately just escape me at the moment, and apologies to those who I've met. Your friend Frank, I think, as well.
Yeah.
And everybody's just been, as I say, really friendly, and it's really nice just to be able to be here in person, and most of all to meet you two guys after all these years. And of course, this is your 10th year, my 8th year. And that's really the reason I'm here, because I had so many people actually asking me to come either to Huntsville or to Dayton, and I was planning a trip to Europe anyway, and I thought, well, it wouldn't cost that much extra to go via the US, and the timing and everything was just right.
Yeah, well, we're glad you did. We had talked about trying to get down there to where your place is, or to Australia, but when you said you were coming up here, that worked out pretty well. So in 10 more years, we'll have to come down there and visit you.
Well, hopefully it'll sooner than that, but
hopefully.
I got to say, I've seen the contrast, for better or for worse, of a number of things here in the US, right? I think it would be very interesting for you guys to come down and see just how things are down, just the way I live every day, and it is actually pretty different. But people probably not as friendly, because I'm in a big city. If you get out into the country in Australia, then people tend to be much more relaxed, and they open up quite a bit.
So you would fix us some shrimp on the Barbie, eh?
I could arrange a barbecue, but it's not. I'm not actually a sort of barbecue person, if that makes sense. But for me, my idea of a good outing would be I'd take you to one of the nicer restaurants in Melbourne, and there's some really very pleasant buffets that one can go to.
Well, Tommy, we had never met Peter before this, other than just over the internet. So what do you think? He's pretty much like what I thought he was like.
Yeah, he's exactly like, he's pretty much like the rest of us. What you see on the show here is exactly what you get, and Peter's no exception. So, but it is a pleasure to meet you in person.
So thank you. Look, there's one thing that occurred to me as I was talking with various people today, was that a lot of good things come out when like-minded people meet up Okay, and Huntsville really works in that way because you get people coming from all different states and sometimes even overseas, and you never know what that's going to lead to. Those relationships can often spawn new inventions or commercial products and things. So, I'm sure something very positive comes out of Huntsville every year in terms of the relationships that are actually built.
Yeah, it's a great place to come meet people, and we meet new people here every time we come.
Yeah. Speaking of new people, the ham population is, let's just say a lot of us have a little gray hair now. But there are some young people in the hobby, and they're really trying to encourage that here at Huntsville. They have a great youth forum that a lot of clubs would do well to try to emulate this at their Hamfest. And let's take a look at that. I'm in the youth lounge here at the Huntsville Hamfest, and we're going to check out what's going on in here. I'm talking with Ryan, who's 3D printing something right now. Hi, Ryan.
Hello.
Tell me what you're making here.
I'm making these robot whistles. I found them from the internet and I'm printing them for my robotics team, the Browncoats.
So these are connectors?
They're two separate whistles that are being printed at the same time.
This is your printer?
Yes.
What model is this? What type?
This is a Printibot maker's kit. It's a model, I believe, 1405. I believe that's the model number.
It looks pretty neat. I have not played with 3D printer myself. I've seen a lot of stuff printed with it. What does a printer like this cost?
I believe it costs $300 or $400.
And how about a spool of the filament? How much is that?
This spool costs like $30 for 1 kilogram.
And that will last you a fairly long time?
Yes, it has so far.
Well, I appreciate you talking with us about it here. It's these are things you made too?
These are spools I made for my team's robot.
All right, we'll go over here and look at the robots now and see what's going on there. Thanks, Ryan.
You're welcome.
Here's John, KJ4AYA. He's going to tell us a little bit about the robotics competition that's going on here.
Sure. We're part of FIRST, which is a robotics organization and a robotics league that runs competitions called First Tech Challenge. And our robot this year is designed to pick up balls and putting them in tubes. And the way it's scored is points per centimeter. The 90 centimeter tube, the 60 centimeter tube, and the 30 centimeter tube. 90 is 3 points per centimeter, 60 is 2 points, and 30 is 1 point. Our robot is kind of robustly built because we don't have very many resources to build with. Because we're a community team from Madison. We're full of homeschoolers. And we had a pretty tough time fundraising a few years ago, and until this year. So this robot, I can show you how it's built. Our main component is cascading drawer slides, which is powered by a little 3D printed spool that spins 80-pound test fishing line, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. That is pretty cool. Then these are like drawer sliders here that...
Yep, the standard full extension drawer slides.
And I assume this picks the ball up?
Yeah. These are tech treads that pick up the ball. It runs along, say, shelf lining material that helps the ball roll along. And the zip ties just whisk it into the little hopper that raises up. And the servo dumps it out into the tube. Like that.
And you just have to fill up these tubes over here.
Exactly. There's a lot of competitions around the state. There's qualifiers that communities host, and then there's state competition. Alabama doesn't have one, so we have to go to Georgia. And then after that, there's super regional, which is held in San Antonio for 72 teams that make it. And then after that, there's the world competition where there's, I think, 126 teams from the U.S. at least. And then there's 25 or so teams that are from other countries.
So how do you plan on placing this year?
Well, last year we made it to the Super Regional, and it was a learning experience for us, so we didn't do really that well. But we hope to make it to World this year. That's our goal.
Wow, that'd be great. Well, it's a very creative looking design here. You've taken what you can find and basically cobbled it into a robot, huh?
Pretty much. Yeah, just simple materials. If you look here, we've even used like drinking straws and zip ties to help reduce friction there.
Wow, that is sharp. Well, I appreciate you talking with us, John. It's really interesting.
Thanks for having me.
A lot of this stuff we've been doing, other Hamfests are copying now. So we had to up, as the kids would say, we had to up level.
Yeah.
So it's been a hit. The little robot, the kids, now the big robot's working. There, he's getting some footage of it.
Good.
But their goal was to build a robot that could pick up the little balls and the big balls off the ground and get them into one of those 3 tubes that are standing vertical. And trying to drop a wiffle ball into a vertical tube is tough.
So what are they using there? Are they using a PIC or an Arduino or what?
What they have on there now is an NXT. It's the Lego brick computer. And that's what they've used for years. The first organization has said for years, we want to develop kids that have marketable skills. So 3 years ago, they used to tell us you can only use the parts that are in the kit we sell you. 3 years ago, they said, or anything you can 3D print. And they put their money where their mouth is. They gave away 1,000 3D printers.
Wow.
So now, to continue pushing that bar, the first organization has said we're not going to use the Lego computers anymore. We're going to start using Android phones. So there's going to be an Android phone in the robot and an Android phone in the control station, and they'll talk to each other via Wi-Fi. And so the kids will have to learn how to write Android apps. It'll all be written in Java. Again, marketable skills.
And some kind of interface to the Android so that they can control things.
Androids have USB, and so you just network off the USB. You got to be careful because it's fragile.
Here's Monty Bateman now. He's going to talk a little bit about the soldering workshop going on here. But first, Monty, what is your position here with the Hamfest, and what all do you do?
Well, I help run the youth lounge, and I also maintain the website. So it's my job to make sure that everything on the website is correct and up to date, which is a full-time job.
And you were telling me you're a lightning scientist too?
That's right. I work in the Lightning and Thunderstorm group over at Marshall Space Flight Center. And so I do research studying lightning and thunderstorms.
Wow. So I've got a question. You know, we see these websites that track lightning or display lightning strikes. How are they displaying strikes out in the Gulf?
Radio waves. It propagates out over the water, and if you have enough radio receivers, you can triangulate back out over the water.
Oh, so they're triangulating it. There's not really anything out there in the water that's receiving. Okay.
It's within 100 miles of shore usually.
Okay. So tell me, what have the kids been building here?
We have a program that we've done for many years where the kids come in and build a Morse code oscillator kit. And this is a kit that I found on the internet some time ago. It's a wonderful kit for a low price. It uses a 9-volt battery. It has a speaker, it has a switch, and a light, all contained with a code oscillator. You can't beat it.
Boy, that is great.
And the cool thing is it's got a little connector on it, and so if you have a wire, you can hook 2 of them together and send back and forth.
Oh.
So the kids have a ball building these. They take about 20 minutes to build, and kids that have never soldered before can sit down and walk away with a walking code oscillator in about 20 minutes. So every year we go through 25 or 30 of these kits, and once again, we're out.
So what is this other kit you've got here?
Well, since we've been doing the code oscillator so long, a lot of these kids come in and say, I already built a code oscillator. So this is a blinky light kit, and it's got 2 adjustments on it for speed and frequency, so you can adjust what it does. And again, it's just an elementary thing to get kids to learn how to solder. And it's amazing how quickly some of these kids learn how to solder. They're very good at it.
Really? They don't try to stick the solder on the tip. They learn right away to where to put it, huh?
Absolutely. We always talk about how to put the heat in and the solder at the right time so that you don't end up doing the wrong thing. And usually it only takes 1 or 2 solder joints, and these kids are really good at it.
I notice you've got a wet sponge here for them and a solder sucker, so you
every once in a while I have to do a little rework, so I've got a solder sucker and somewhere there's solder braid, so we have lots and lots of progress, but like I said, these kids love to do this. There's always a line waiting to put these kits together.
Well, that is fantastic. You know, the soldering is something I always have loved doing as a kid. My first experiences were not so good because I was trying to use a nail heating it up over a gas stove, but eventually I got a soldering iron.
Well, it makes all the difference to have the right tools.
It does. It really does. All right, well, I appreciate you talking with us, Monty. It looks like the youth lounge here is really the happening place at the Huntsville Hamfest.
It's a good place for the kids to come. We try to not just keep them busy, but teach them things about radio and electronics. And this year we've added the competition robotics team, so we're trying to set the bar for other Hamfest youth lounges.
Well, that's fantastic. Y'all are doing a good job.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, that youth forum is pretty neat. I spent a few minutes just watching the 3D printer over there. It's pretty cool stuff. But talking about youth, I actually ran into a little guy we met in Dayton. You remember Chris? I had a nice chat with him.
Yep, I met him as well. Yeah, he's a credit to his parents and also his younger brother.
I ran into my friend Chris here. I met Chris at Dayton. How you doing, Chris?
Good. Nice to see you again, Tommy.
Yeah, nice to see you too. He's an interesting guy. Tell me, how old were you when you got your license?
Probably 11 or 12. I think 11.
And how old are you now?
I'm going to be 13 next month.
Oh, awesome. So you had it for about 2 years. What class are you?
I'm a general right now.
General, that's incredible. You go working on your extra?
Right now, not yet, but probably will soon.
I'm sure it'll be in your future.
Yeah.
So you got big plans here? Anything in particular?
Well, hopefully we'll look at the flea market and meet a few people here, but other than that, just kind of enjoy ourselves. I know we're going to the Bob Hiles Forum later today. I think it starts soon. So.
Oh, yeah, that's always educational. Bob's an interesting guy.
Yeah, so looking forward to that.
Yeah, well, thanks for taking a minute to talk to me. It's good to see you.
Yes, good to see you too, Tommy.
And that's not the only time we saw him. We saw Chris and hung out with him a lot over the weekend here.
Yeah, him, his little brother, and his mom and dad, they were fantastic. Really super nice people.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, let's take a break here for a minute and get a message from one of the sponsors of Amateur Logic.
When it comes to ham radio, no one has more essentials and accessories for the hobby than MFJ Enterprises. In addition to their extensive line of antennas, antenna tuners, antenna analyzers, watt meters, power supplies, and so much more, MFJ has the items you need to accessorize your base station or mobile. A large selection of 12 and 24-hour clocks help keep you on time around the globe. Nothing brings your mobile rig to life like a good external speaker. The MFJ 281 Cleartone speaker was carefully designed to improve intelligibility of speech while reducing undesirable noise, static, and hum. MFJ is your source for the popular 4-pin and 6-pin power cables used on most HF radios. They're available with and without pre-installed power pole connectors too. Keeping tabs on your mobile battery voltage is important for a number of reasons. MFJ's cigar lighter voltmeters are perfect for a quick check of your battery before it's too late. Need parts for your next wire antenna project? MFJ's got you covered with a variety of quality insulators, like these ceramic egg insulators. Of course, they have a large assortment of low and high power balance for most applications, including this new 1-to-1 Yagi boom mount balun designed for HF and 6-meter antennas. MFJ is the world leader in ham radio accessories. Visit mfjenterprises.com today.
A lot of the new products are introduced every year at Dayton, but there are some new products that would be introduced here, and you ran across one, didn't you, Tommy?
Yeah, I ran across an interesting new little tuner over there. Let's take a look at that. We're kind of wandering around here and checking out some more of the vendors at the Hamfest, and I've got Jim here. What's your call sign?
KA2MBE.
Okay, where are you from?
Ocala, Florida.
Okay, Ocala, Florida. You're not too far from home.
No. Just short hot strip in the gun.
Yeah. So my buddy here was telling me about your antenna tuner you made. Can you tell me a little bit about it?
Sure. This device is designed to work with screwdriver antennas. We have an antenna set up in the corner here. It's for the demonstration. And what it does is it uses memories to store various frequencies for HF communication, anywhere from 1 to 60 megahertz. It uses memory windows, and the windows are broken up based on the bandwidth. For example, between 1 and 4 megahertz, it uses 2 kilohertz windows. From that point up, the windows get wider because the antenna's bandwidth gets wider, so the need to store smaller windows isn't as important as on the lower frequencies as it is in the higher frequencies. What the device does is it has about 3,000 memories, roughly, to choose from. It's somewhat universal, meaning it'll work on multiple radios, and what changes on the unit is the interface. Yeah, the one for the Icom, Yaesu, and Kenwood. And basically this connects between the rig and the unit. And the unit is basically just needing some switched power to turn on the micro and a key line. And that's how it activates. For example, on the Kenwood, it uses the TX tune command to send the information to the serial port. On the Yaesu, it has an ALC generator built in here, as well as a keying pin for the accessory port. And on the Icom, it uses the anything that works with an AH4 tuner will work with this interface. It'll also work on legacy radios. For example, any radio that has switch 12 volts and a key line, it'll operate with. The switch 12 volts is primarily to turn on the microprocessor. The unit has separate power, which you can parallel with the radio power when you're operating it. The unit's designed to turn off when the radio turns off as well. Okay. The way it operates, basically, you pick a frequency that you want, and you hit a button. It keys the radio for a moment, looks at the SWR, also looks at the frequency, goes into the unit and says, where do I move to? So then it moves the antenna to that spot. And once it gets to that spot, and that was a good test because we had a loose cable here, so it actually deinitialized itself, which is a safety feature. So what we do is basically just reinitialize the antenna. It goes to the top and lower limits. The unit has some built-in safety features. For example, it measures frequency, pulse count, antenna current, as well as the SWR, forward and reflected SWR. So it monitors several different conditions of the radio and the antenna system. Okay. It's designed to work with any antenna that has a pulse counter in it. It'll work with screwdriver antennas such as Tar Heel, High Q, and Scorpion. It'll also support the Rhoda antennas made in, I believe, Australia. We have a couple of Australian customers that are currently using it on that as well.
Well, it looks nice. How long has this been out? Is this fairly new?
We actually introduced this at last year's Hamfest in Huntsville. So this is our 1-year anniversary. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It looks pretty nice. I'm going to be looking for a screwdriver antenna for my vehicle sometime soon. My buddies bought Tar Heel antenna, similar to what you've got over there, and they've been giving me a hard time, so I'll probably have to get one soon. I may give you a holler.
Yeah, give us a look.
Thanks for talking to me. Oh, I'm sorry.
Thing looked kind of heavy.
Yeah, it's in well, as you can see, that box is really thick and shielded, so should keep the RF out.
Do you really want to keep RF out of a tuner? Or you just want it to go through it?
You don't want to get it into the other stuff.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Yeah, that is
I'm
a
going to
good
defer
question.
to Peter on that.
Well, Peter, you saw something over here that kind of tickled your fancy, didn't you?
Yeah, apart from the antique radios, I actually saw a table with a whole lot of Morse keys, and so I spoke to the person at the desk and had a bit of a chat. I'm here with Neil, K6 Sugar Mike Fox, and Neil's got a beautiful collection of Morse keys. And where are you from, Neil?
Southern California.
Oh, right. And so did you fly down here, or did you?
No, I drive. I'm retired Navy. I'm an old Navy chief, and I'm gone a month, and then I'm home a month, and I'm gone a month, and it keeps me alive.
Oh, well, that's good. Well, that's great. Now, you've got, as I said, a beautiful collection of keys here, and this is probably the biggest collection I've ever seen. One interesting thing I find down here is you've got these iambic keys, right? Now, paddles, right? Okay, and I've never used one, and I suspect there may be many viewers out there who have seen them but don't really know how to actually use one. So, could you give us a few tips on how you would physically use it with your hand?
You have to practice. The number one thing is when a person first gets licensed, they use a straight key, then they go to a bug, which is a semi-automatic key, and you push the paddle in one direction, which would be the dots, and then the dashes in the other direction, and then you would be able to use the bug as a speed key. It would speed up your action.
Can you point out a bug to us? Sorry, can you point out a bug to us?
These are all bugs right here. These are all semi-automatic keys.
Right.
All different. And a lot of them are from the 30s and 40s. One I have here that was used in World War II. This is an Army key.
Wow.
From World War II.
So that's what, really 60-odd, 70-odd years old?
So, yeah, we've collected them, and there are people that actually follow me because they collect keys. Oh. And I go around and I swap and trade, so I'm always coming out with new different stuff.
Okay. So
now from the semi-automatic, you go to the paddle, because most of the newer modern transceivers nowadays have the built-in key or units built into their unit. And you would take a paddle, which has the same dots and dashes associated with the semi-automatic keys, and you'd plug into your rig, and this would give you the opportunity to use this, and you would use your thumb and your first finger or your second finger, and you would actually practice, with your transceiver at home before you got on the air, because if you got on and you weren't sending properly, you would make all kinds of errors.
Yeah. So let's say we've got some viewers out there who are just new to the hobby. Maybe they've just gotten their license, right? Do you recommend that they actually start at the top here with these, or actually start with a straight key and work their way up?
Start with a straight key, become proficient with the straight key. Many of the new no-coders that don't require code start out and learn 3 letters a day with a buddy or a pal or a friend. And then after a week and a half, they've got the entire alphabet, and then they progress and they practice and contact themselves down on the bottom of 40 and 80 meters. You hear a lot of the no-coders that weren't required to learn it are learning it just as a fun thing.
Yes, which is how it should be.
And it's exciting. So now I'll go down to the bottom and I'll work with them and try to build their speed, and bring them up.
Oh, good. Are there any? Aside from that, are there any sort of operating tips or any Elmer type tips you can give for people that are either learning Morse code or just getting into it? Any things that they should?
Don't be discouraged. Don't be discouraged. Everything takes time, and once you learn the alphabet and the code and learn punctuation, like a period, da 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 da, and then. Other punctuation, the numbers come very, very easy too in terms of learning those. But if you learn them slowly and then you practice, you have the opportunity of building your speed, and then once you know it, you can then start copying in your head. You don't have to write everything down. So it becomes more and more, you become faster and faster and faster, and instead of taking it off in letters, you start taking them off in word groups.
When I got my my license, I had to learn code in those days in Australia, and well, the way I did it was that we had some broadcasts that came out of Renmark in South Australia. A couple of elderly gentlemen who have unfortunately passed away, and they were heard all over Australia. And like every night around 7 p.m, you could actually tune in, and they would start off with a slow bit of Morse, and then they progressively get faster and faster.
Right.
Do you have anything like that here in the US?
We do. W1AW does that on every single band, and you get a hold of the league, and you'll find the frequency they're transmitting on, and they start at about 3 to 5 words a minute, and then they progress up, different time spans, like every 2 hours they increase their speed. So they'd be starting slow, then they go to middle range, and then they go to high range. And if you copy pretty proficiently, you can actually send your copy in, and whatever speed you were copying at, if you copied it correctly, they will give you a certificate to give you the words per minute that you actually copied.
And of course, some people, unfortunately, get a little bit panicky in exams. Okay, so it's good to do, I think, a few practice exams before you actually go in for your test.
On your computer. I mean, you can play with it on your computer, or you can practice the code with your computer. I mean, it's really simple.
Well, it's certainly a lot of fun. It's been an absolute pleasure meeting you, Neil. Okay,
I love talking to New Zealand, Australia. I have a big antenna at my house, and I love talking to down under.
It's always a pleasure to talk to Americans as well. Okay, thanks, Neil, very much.
Take care.
God bless.
I don't think I've ever seen so many different keys assembled in one place before.
Yeah, you're right, George. I've never seen that many keys, but more importantly, it was great to learn a little bit about some of the sort of element tips around keys, and because I've done a little bit of Morse myself when I got my qualification, and also just to learn a little bit about the iambic keys, which I've never used before. So that was quite an educational experience for me.
And I did not know the difference between a bug and an iambic keyer.
So you did learn something.
I did learn something.
You got educated.
Yeah, I didn't learn the code though. I mean, I'm still kind of not there on that.
Are you contest ready? Expand your band experience and check out Icom for the best in HF. Once again, Icom raises the bar with the IC7851. Radio features include a 1.2 kHz optimum roofing filter, new local oscillator design with improved phase noise, and several spectrum scope enhancements. The pattern of perfection continues with Icom's IC7700. This radio features a spectrum waterfall display on an impressive 7-inch color LCD, digital voice recording to capture incoming and outgoing calls, and direct remote control operation with Icom's RSBA1 software. For solid HF operation this season, try Icom's IC7600. This rig offers advanced DSP technology and 3 IF roofing filters, dual watch on the same band, and LED backlighting on an ultra-wide 5.8-inch display. Make sure you visit ICOMAmerica/amateur for more information on Icom's complete line of amateur radio products.
Ray, it's great to see you again here in Huntsville.
Thank you, George. It's almost like a family reunion, isn't it?
Sure is, and I understand congratulations are in order. You have a new position of Senior Sales Manager at Icom.
Yes, sir. Not only a new position, but new duties as well, and it's going to kind of take me out of doing a lot of the ham radio stuff that I've been doing. But I'm still, at this point, in charge of the amateur radio division at Icom.
Well, let's bring Will in here and introduce him.
All right. As I was mentioning, George, I'm flying out tomorrow morning, and it's a Saturday-Sunday show. So in April, we hired Will Jourdain, KI4VXF, and Will, his first Hamfest with Icom is at Dayton Hamvention.
That's right. I was with Icom at Dayton, and I've been been with the company now at a few shows, Huntsville here included, and so I'm looking forward to continuing that, traveling around to shows, setting up, and meeting all of you folks out there as you make your way to the various shows around the nation.
And George, a couple of the things that he's going to be doing other than a lot of the amateur shows, because I'm only going to be going to 4, which is Dayton, Orlando, Huntsville, and Dallas. You and Tommy are going to have to get him on the Christmas album. And he's also going to be doing some things for Ham Nation, as well as reviewing all the emails that come in and responding to them. Right now, my new duties are in the Lamb Mobile division as a national sales manager. So I'm leaving tomorrow to go to my first Lamb Mobile show of the year with the new title, which is APCO 2015. So Will's going to be filling in on a lot of the amateur duties and doing some training when we bring some new radios out. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and watch him grow with Icom and work with you guys a lot more. So be gentle.
We promise. Tommy, you talked to another vendor here that, he's from our home state.
Yeah, I ran into some solar panels. It's kind of neat to see some of that stuff's coming out of Mississippi. I ran into a Mississippi guy here, Eric.
Hey, Tommy, how you good?
Hey, I'm doing good. Show me what do you got here? I see a lot of solar panels.
Well, what we found is that the ham radio community has really been starving for a way to power their radio equipment in emergency situations or even in some alternative power needs. We found that we've filled that niche in such a way that we're able to offer different types of solar power, which is alternative energy, which can be utilized any time of the year for taking your ham Radio Shack off-grid completely or for filling the niche that you might have for emergency power needs, and even becoming the field day hero, if you will.
Yeah, man, solar power is a big thing for ham radio guys, as you just mentioned. I think everybody kind of needs that, especially being in the South where we're from with the hurricanes that blow up and tornadoes and then the occasional ice storm, which we don't have the infrastructure to handle something like that. So having power outages isn't uncommon in our area.
Yeah, it's very common, and I get to come to the Hamfest and I hear many, many stories from different hams that they tell me that they were out of power for several days. And that they look forward to having some kind of battery backup system where they were able to continue to communicate, and that they come to me or they come to get the solar or some generator, and that they're able to continue to stay on the air and continue to communicate their situation as well as those that are around them in their community so that they are able to maintain that communication link. Ham radio really started out in the 70s doing solar power, and because of the price of the solar power, the ham radio community shied away from it. Well, our goal is to tease hams back into doing solar projects where they can do various types of power at different levels, all the way from portability for backpacking with QRP, all the way up to your full ham stations and full shacks for 100-watt radios on typical uses. So we're here to try to fill that niche and to make sure that ham radio community knows that solar is back, it is affordable, and there are products available to take your ham shack back off the grid and to become more power conscious, as well as available for emergency communications and emergency situations.
So I see several different types here, and as well as controllers and cables and things like that. So you've got one here that folds up. Is that like a canvas back on it?
Yeah, this one has become very popular for a lot of reasons. One, that it does fill the capacity for 12-volt needs. It's a 27-watt panel. It's 2 amps out at 12 volts, so it does have the capability of running a QRP rig, as well as doing a small battery charging. And a lot of our people who travel overseas will take this with them to charge up their laptops, cell phones, and things like that, so they don't have to worry about long trips, whether or not they have the right power adapters or right interfaces to the outlets. It gives them the sense of freedom that they can travel where it is that they need, as well as very lightweight for backpacking and those who want to do QRP, something like SOTAs or DXpeditions.
Yeah, that's a nice size, about the size of an iPad. And then we've got one here, I guess, that folds up similar to like a briefcase.
Right, this one's called the Solar Suitcase. The Solar Suitcase is 100 watts. We sell the version that has the charge controller already attached to it. It folds up into a nice carrying handle, full briefcase, carrying case, everything all included. The only thing you need is a battery. So I've dubbed this one our our field day hero kit, because this one you show up at your field day with this 100-watt solar panel system, and you can definitely make a few contacts with that without any problem. Just to give the ham radio community a little idea of what kind of power 100 watts will get you, here in the Huntsville area, which is where we're at right now, you get about 5 typical sun hours a day, and 100 watts, you're looking at about 8 amp hours out at 100 watts, which is 5 hours over that. That's 40 amp hours. So the usability of that 40 amp hours on a typical 100-watt radio is a little less than 2 hours of key-up talk time. And that's kind of important to understand how solar can work for you and how well you can make solar work for you. So if you talk less, you can listen more, so you get more mileage for your available solar power.
Oh, that's cool. So where can people find out more information, or where can they buy these as well?
Okay, yeah, we have an online presence. We are BeReadySolar.com. You can contact me at any time as well at our phone number, 601-447-4391. I'd be glad to talk with you and find out what it is that you really are looking for your alternative energy or emergency energy. And we'd love to service you and see that you get what you need.
Cool. Thanks for taking time to talk to me.
Tommy, I appreciate it very much.
In October 2015, AmateurLogic celebrates our 10th anniversary. To observe this event, Icom and MFJ have joined us for a great HF station contest. We'll be giving away an Icom IC7410 HF transceiver along with MFJ coax, power supply, and antenna. Visit AmateurLogic.TV/contest for details.
The Hamfest is winding down. There's maybe less than an hour left here, so the crowd has thinned out quite a bit. But there's still folks here in the flea market area where we're sitting, and I think if we hurry, we can make a partial sweep around the perimeter one more time. There's still money in my pocket. I can tell because there's a warm sensation in this chair, and I think I'm going to have to do something about it before we leave the area.
Yeah, now's about the time when all the real good deals are going to be.
Absolutely. It's always good, because the sellers are desperate to sell. They don't want to carry something heavy home. So if you go in and make an offer, that's just a good time to go and get a good deal.
Yep, no doubt.
Well, Peter, it's so good to finally meet you. We've become,
friends.
Co-workers, friends, acquaintances, and really, you guys out there watching on AmateurLogic here, or however you're watching it, and a number of you have said to us here, I feel like I know you.
Yeah.
Well, that's the same way with Peter, and come to find out, we did know him.
Yeah, if I sort of, we've told this story before, but I contacted the guys back when they were on a bit of a hiatus after making the first 12 episodes, and I thought, I'd made some videos at school, and I thought, I wouldn't mind just contributing something on a sort of one-off basis, and so I got in touch with George and Tommy, and particularly George, and and we teed it up. I provided a video, which of course was of a local Hamfest in Melbourne. And George wanted to do a bit of co-hosting, so I came in via Skype, and it was great. I thought, that was quite an interesting experience. And then you said, what are you doing for the next episode? And I kind of went, what? So I've been here ever since. And,
so we keep saying that every month, and it keeps coming back.
We had asked on the show before for people to send us some videos for us to use. And unfortunately for Peter, he was the first one, or one of the few, who ever took us up on that offer. And that kind of, he was in then. I mean, once we saw that he could do a video and that he would send it to us, hey.
Yeah, and the personality was a good mesh for us too, so it was a really good fit all the way around.
Yeah, I can't think of many podcasts. I know one, but or vidcasts, where you've actually got that mixture of international hosts actually co-hosting at the same time. I can only think of one, and that's Dave up in Sydney, who does a audio podcast with a chap in Ohio. But otherwise, I don't think, in terms of regular co-hosts, I don't think I've ever seen another vidcast where you've got a regular co-host coming in internationally, and it's worked really well.
Well, maybe we were the first for that too, because we were the first ham show to come out on video on the internet.
Yeah.
Maybe the first international one.
Yeah. By the way, even though Jimmy's not here, I just want to pay tribute to him because he, like yourselves, helped found AmateurLogic, and it's rolled on for 10 years, which is, I don't think you ever expected it to last that long, did you?
We didn't have any idea.
I wasn't sure we would end up with a second one.
Yeah, true.
Oh, true. That first,
it was an experiment.
Yeah, that first video, which I've gone back and watched a few times, where you were interviewing Jimmy about his, he had like a Wi-Fi kind of commercial setup there, and it was a little raw, but nonetheless, I could see that you were comfortable in front of the camera, and you could do interviewing skills, and your interviewing skills and professionalism and etc. certainly has grown in leaps and bounds since then, and that's not a criticism of where you were at, but I think you could go, either of you, onto a professional show at any time, and you would be just fine.
That just kind of sends a chill up my spine, Tommy, like something's horribly wrong.
Well, of course, today we were actually on a professional setup, and that was the Hamfest TV production. Yeah. We were invited as guests to come along, and was it the name Mr. Wilbanks?
Don.
Don. Oh, that's right. Yeah, Don was interviewing us, and for the first time ever, we were actually in front of a professional camera setup with an amazing. What would you call it? The big screen with all the different functions that and console and other equipment they had. It was pretty awesome.
Which you're in front of every time. You just don't realize it.
You just can't see it. That's the same gear that we use.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So,
but no, they did have professional cameras and booms and a Steadicam and all.
Also, a professional director who I was watching her and. I got the impression that you wouldn't want to interrupt her, shall we say. But she was very professional and very in charge, shall we say. But look, that Don just kept us very relaxed, and it was very natural to be interviewed, and a lot of fun.
Yeah, so you can. I believe that the videos of that are going to be posted over on Hamfest.TV. Gigaparts put that together, and it looked like a real good event. We couldn't stay there and watch the whole thing because we had so many people to meet here, but I understand it went over well.
Yeah, thanks to those guys for inviting us on. It was a lot of fun.
It was indeed, and I think that they've had some other guests like Bob Heil. I did see a little snippet of him being interviewed on there, and I'm sure they would have grabbed other notable guests as well.
Yeah, and we hung out with Bob a little bit this week. You got to meet him.
I got to meet him, yeah. He's a very, very friendly guy, and he just makes you feel at home, which is nice.
Oh, yeah, super nice guy.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we've been having so much fun. I hate to end it, but, they're going to be closing the doors up here soon, and I think if we got around just a little bit here, somebody might even give us something because they don't want to haul it home.
It's happened before.
It has?
Yeah. Well, look, as I said, it's been great to come here and see what Huntsville's all about in the flesh. You can't. I find that you can't really get a full appreciation of something unless you actually really come. And in the same vein, by the way, I got to visit the Huntsville Space Museum a day or two ago, and until you actually go to that museum and you see the Apollo rocket and the space shuttle, you just do not appreciate the enormity of the size of those vehicles. So, if you haven't visited Huntsville before, and if you've thought about it, look, I say take the plunge, come down, stay a couple of nights, see the Space Museum. You get to meet a whole lot of friendly people. Chances are you'll meet George and Tommy in the future here as well. I'm not sure if I'll be back in the near future because it's a fairly expensive exercise to come out here. it's a long. And by the way, the flight from Sydney to to Dallas is 15 and a half hours straight, which is the longest flight in the world. So, but I got through that, which is good. As I said, you may or may not have appreciated that. I had to overcome a fear of flying here, as well as 4 operations. So it's been quite a journey to get to Huntsville.
Sort of trial by fire.
Yeah, a bit like that. But and on that same vein, I just want to publicly thank my wife for letting me come and looking after our kids while I'm over here, and also all the doctors who actually pulled various stones out of me before coming here. I had a gallstone in my bile duct. I had my gallbladder removed, and also had kidney stone removed as well. So that was, as I say, a bit of an ordeal, but it meant that when I came here, I had the confidence that, hopefully nothing was going to go wrong. So, so they helped me get here, which was really great. And also my friends and my family, who have been so supportive in me coming over here, particularly my friends from Dutch class. And, I go on from here, by the way, to Washington for one day. I get to go to the Smithsonian, and then I proceed on to Europe and Paris, which has always been my dream destination to go to. I get to see my sister in Ashford, and I get to see London, Brussels, and also Amsterdam. And as you know, I've been studying Dutch for about 6 years now, so I get to practice my language skills. So.
Well, Peter, it's been a lot of fun. Why don't we do it again next month over the internet?
I think that sounds like a plan, George.
Okay. All right, sounds great. It's been really great to meet you in person.
It's been an absolute pleasure, and also an absolute pleasure to meet, like this guy over here, and everybody else who, as I say, has been so friendly and welcoming. And also, I just want to pay credit to Embassy Suites, where we stayed, and they made our stay exceptionally pleasant.
73,
everybody.
Check, 1, 2. You got audio on both of them?
1, 2.
Tommy's is on his own.
1.
1, 2, 1.
Other people that I've seen on like Joe Eisner, for example. I've met him, where that was great.
Joe Eisenberg.
Joe Eisenberg, sorry.
I ran into my friend Chris here.
And of course, Don Wilbanks, I should say.